everybody, it's Doug Green, and I'm the publisher of Technology Reseller News, and I'm very pleased to have with me today Jeffrey Fiddleman, who's the CEO and founder of the Fiddleman Company. Jeffrey, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Doug.
Well, I'm so glad that you reached out and we decided we could do a podcast on you and on the really interesting things you're doing. We're going to be talking about FaaS or FaaS, Fundraise-as-a-Service. It's a really interesting idea, really interesting concept that you've actually given life to. So we're going to be talking about that in just a second. But Jeffrey, tell me a little bit about Fiddleman Company.
Sure. Fiddleman Company was started in 2015 out of really a need that I saw, having worked both in banking as well as venture, that early stage companies didn't have the support that they needed. So we launched Fiddleman Company in 2015, as I mentioned, first as a consulting company, simply to help early stage companies and emerging managers put together all of their fundraising materials, investor presentations, financial models, valuations, capital structure, design. We aim to do all of that in-house. We quickly grew the company to about 20 people, 25 people going into COVID times. Coming out of, we were placed on the Inc. 5000 list. We were top 500 actually on Inc. 5000. And what we noticed was that a lot of our clients were coming back to us at the end of our engagement saying, this is really, really great. Now help us do something with this fundraising materials that you've put together for us. So we started putting together a strategy, a fundraising strategy for our clients, which was essentially a book that we would give them of leads, of how to call, of how to sequence, of how to reach out and actually raise capital. And again, 12, 16 weeks later, our clients would come back to us saying, Jeff, this is great. Can you do it for us? And that's ultimately what led to us launching Fundraise-as-a-Service or FaaS more recently.
And you, to be really clear, because we are usually focused on, the telecoms market, the IT market, you guys provide this service for all sorts of companies, all sorts of industries.
Sure. So we actually have worked with telecom companies before, ranging from a private equity firm looking to buy the antennas and communication devices across fields, all the way to a startup that was looking to launch a new radio frequency wave type of communication. So yes, really what we do is more structural and process-based. On one hand, we can help with all of the materials and presentations. Despite my saying help with, oftentimes, or in every circumstance, we work really much hand in hand with our clients in putting together all of those materials. So the materials we assemble is more of a reflection of our clients' businesses as opposed to our thoughts or perspective on any one of those industries. And similarly to the fundraising side, all of our campaigns are customized to the clients. It's more of the database that we've built over the past decade and the way that we reach out and create the structure and processes to those investors. That's the value that we add to our clients.
So then all this led to you walking through the door of creating FaaS. So tell me about that.
Sure. So Fundraise-as-a-Service, the way that we see it and how we've started reaching out to clients, or really what it is at its core, is something that I joke, not anything that we do is necessarily proprietary, but rather what we have is proprietary, the database and the systems. And what I mean by that is fundraising is difficult. There's no silver bullet. There's no answer to fundraising. It is about reaching out, being consistent, and having the processes in place to continuously follow up with the investors that you are targeting, that are qualified, and that you're reaching out to. And that's exactly what we do.
There's some components to this. Help me understand how this actually plays out.
Sure. So a client will approach us. They are the founder or the manager of XYZ company, and they're looking to engage us for Fundraise-as-a-Service to help them raise capital. And the services that we provide range from self-service all the way to full-service investment banking. On the self-service side, our clients will have access to our systems, the database. It's a guided process that will help them onboard into that database and system. And then from there, they're responsible for sending out all the emails, making the calls to investors, and following up with them. Full service banking is exactly the same access to the systems, but we provide the analysts to do all of the work for them. We were talking earlier, Doug, about that being more of a managed service, where now our analyst is tapping into the database, reaching out to all of the leads, sequencing them, making the phone calls, making the emails, coordinating call times with the founders to pitch their businesses. And we do this in a very methodical way. It's not throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. It's not sending 1,000 emails a day or a week. Every week, and I'm very transparent about this process because frankly, if everyone did it this way, my job would be easier overall. Every week, we pull about 100 leads plus or minus 20 from the database that we have. Those leads are further qualified and personalized by our analyst, who is dedicated, if we're using full service investment banking and full service FaaS, to our clients. That analyst, after the personalization, then sequences them into what looks very similar to a marketing drip campaign. It's a collection or a sequencing of outbound calls and emails that go out to those investors over the course of about 2 or 3 weeks. And that we do every single week so that the pipeline continuously builds over time. In addition, we have weekly reports to all of our clients and weekly meetings with all of our clients, including the analyst, myself biweekly, as well as our VP of banking, to go over that strategy, to go over the report, and then also to adjust our outbound campaigns as needed. So that our jobs, ultimately, what I see our roles, what I see our value is, or what our deliverable is, to get our clients up to bat. And then ultimately it's their responsibility to hit the ball. And getting our clients up to bat, getting them in front of qualified and interested investors is what we're really, really good at doing.
So Jeffrey, this sounds like a lot of very, a package of very sophisticated services that normally might not be accessible to a lot of companies.
Yes, it is. And it is exactly the reason, or one of the reasons why we put Fundraise-as-a-Service together the way that we did. Realistically, some of the tools that I mentioned, PitchBook, which is a subscription platform for investor information, alone is around $30,000, $35,000 a year. ZoomInfo, which we use to enrich or enhance investor information once we pulled it from PitchBook, is another $30,000, $35,000 a year. And there's a number of other platforms. Preqin is up to about 50, and others that we subscribe to, where in total it's probably over $125,000 a year in just subscription platforms that we have. And all of these platforms, not to say that any one company would need access to all of them, but any one company would probably need access to one of them. And all of those platforms are often offering subscriptions on an annual basis. So going back to the value, how would a company typically raise capital? What are the best practices of doing the same? You would buy investor leads or subscribe to a list. You would filter through them. You would sit there, try to personalize them, because you can't do mass email if you're trying to raise capital effectively. And then you're actually going to have to put in the effort to sit there and call all day and to email all day out. One of my first jobs, by the way, was a cold caller in finance. And when people say do 100 or 200 or 300 calls a day, a week, 2 weeks go by, it gets very, very draining. But the people are out there for you to reach out, and it absolutely does work. Now, what's really important when you think about that process and methodology is that many people think that, okay, I have a 2% conversion rate. I reach out to 100 people, 2 of them will convert to meetings or whatever. I reach out to 1,000, 20 people, 10,000, 200 people will convert. But the reality is, and what we were hyper focused on over the past couple of years, was that you should be aimed at increasing your efficiency of conversion, not just simply filling your top of funnel of these leads that you're hoping to convert at a 2%. So our value really when working with our clients is we have access to all of these annual subscription platforms. Our analyst is the one sitting there personalizing and qualifying all these leads, because that's what that analyst does all day long, and then doing all of the outreach for you. And our platform is a month-to-month subscription. There's a 30-day cancellation, but outside of that, there is no commitment that we ask our clients for 6 months, for 12 months, or anything in between. And on a pure dollar by dollar basis, having access to all those platforms, having the infrastructure, having the analysts, and all of the residual data that's generated from all of our engagements remains as data of our clients, meaning investor contact information, the notes, the personalizations, all of the copy and the systems are left with our clients if and when our engagement is over. So reality is that it shouldn't be taking you 12 months to raise capital unless you're raising $100 million or something for a fund.
Right.
But to subscribe to one of those platforms for a year doesn't make sense either. And that's why we took the risk on of subscribing to those platforms, of hiring the analysts, of building out these systems so that we can pass that on to our clients on a month-to-month basis.
This is really interesting to me because what you just said also might give comfort to a lot of companies that we reach that are considering this process, where maybe the hesitation is, gee, how locked in am I? If I change my mind, if it turns out it's not for me, or if my life circumstances change, etc., can I disengage?
Sure. Look, for better or for worse, because we are an advisory or an investment bank in early stage, most conversations that I walk into, I have a black eye for a fight I was not in. Because there's some experience with some advisor who's taken some money, who's disappeared for 60 or 90 days, and then come up with goose egg or nothing.
Mm.
And the reality is that's why we wanted to approach this business from a very different perspective. Yes, we do take a retainer, but we have weekly meetings, we have weekly reports. I'm in those meetings on a weekly basis, especially at the beginning of an engagement, to make sure that we are staying on top of it. We are putting our clients in front of investors who are qualified and interested. Even internally, we've aligned incentives where our analysts receive bonuses based on how many qualified and interested, and this is at the discretion of our client, investors that we put them in front of. So I can confidently sit here and tell you, and I'm sure anyone of my team will repeat the same, that when I sit in a team meeting, I tell them that as long as our clients are happy, I am happy. If our clients are unhappy, I am unhappy. There's a direct one-to-one correlation of how I am internally with our team based on clients, because I'm a pass-through. And I want to make sure that our clients are getting value from us putting them in front of investors. Now, this isn't all out of altruism, by the way. There is an advisory fee, and that is how the firm ultimately makes its capital. Mm-hmm. But that comes on successful capital raise, and when one of our clients can actually close on the capital that is being invested in them.
So what I'm also hearing is small enough as an organization to provide hand-with-hand service, personalized and curated services. So what you're getting has been organized for you.
Absolutely. And that's the only way that we'll do this. We've dipped our toe into AI, and there are some pieces where it can help, but it will always be a one-to-one relationship. There will always be an analyst that's assigned to a client. I will always be personally involved with the fundraisers and advisory, despite growth. And we do see close to 100 engagements on an annual basis.
So Jeffrey, if we're readers and listeners that are watching and saying, hey, I want to check this out, what's that process like? How can they start to engage you guys?
Sure. You can reach out to me directly. My first name, Jeffrey, at fiddlemanco.com. That's also our website, fiddlemanco.com. You can take a look at more of our services, our processes there. And our phone number, I can quote that here. It's 212-763-6649. The team is remotely distributed. I'm located in the Northeast, just outside of New York, and happy to meet with people there as well.
Well, Jeffrey, I really want to thank you for joining me today. This has been really interesting. I'm glad we got an introduction to FaaS. I hope we get to do more of these. I want to learn more. But for now, thank you so much for having me. Thank you.